इन लोगों ने किया था, इन लोगों ने उतना बड़ा स्कैम नहीं किया था, इन लोगों ने क्या किया, उससे 5-10 रुपए का वो तो जो सेट कर देते। Hello, welcome to the live feed. Okay, so you already know that I am just taking one by one all the paragraph of history, especially the chapter is the colonial era. Okay, so this chapter actually just the we can understand the basic concept of the British era, the colonial eras. I think related from all the classes, from just from 8 to 10th, 8, 9, 10th, and then every student now want to study, want to understand, okay, about that colonial era, what happened, what was the situation, what we faced in our past. So yes, one by one, I already explained many paragraph. So now the turn of this one of new one. Okay. Okay, yesterday I just took the topic about that uh, education, okay, the change in the education system by the Britishers, and today, okay, reshaping economic structure to serve imperial needs. Okay, then how they started to change the structures or the economic structures. So what is the need of this and how they just started to change it. Okay. So you already know that Britisher transformed India's economy from a self-sufficient agricultural system supplemented by craft and manufacturers production into a supplier. Okay, before that, India is a agricultural country. You already know that is so that before in the means in the 19th century or yes in also in the 20th century it was a full of dependent on the agriculture and the craft and manufacturer. Actually, everyone was self-dependent before this, and British are just started to change the system. Okay, so now they just first in the past era, we always just exported that the finished good from India. But after the Britisher transformation in the economical era, they just we only was the supplier of raw material. Yes, this was happened in the previous centuries, and technical detail of the economic transformation when industrialization came before the European countries. It was introduced in European countries. So yes, they just developing so fast, and railway did bring people closer. So you know that why it was happened, because yes, sometimes they just introduce some kind of policy, some kind of development for their benefit. But it was totally, actually not totally, but I think it was little bit against of them, because we also get benefit from that. सारे सबटाइटल में प्राइम वीडियो पे रिलीज हो गई, रिलीज से पहले देखा सकते हैं. Okay, so railway routes largely ignored exiting trade, pattern to the sub-colonials. Okay, and yes, economic interest. Another purpose was to move armies quickly. Yes, there was so many reasons they introduced the railway. I think I already explained in my previous paragraph. So come to that new one. Okay. Okay, so early resistance movement to challenging colonial authority. Okay, so India was such an enormous source of wealth. You already know that we just India was the we always known it as a golden bird. Okay, the golden bird, the Sone ki Chidiya. So you can understand that we have enormous source of wealth, naturals, and human resources as well. But always the British are also just said that it is the jewel in the crown in British Empire. Okay, so they always said that India is kind of a jewel, a precious jewel in their crown. It means they understood this thing that the India is a very wealthy country, and I think it is very important for to control it. So that's the reason. Okay, so the India would forever remain part of the British Empire. They never want to just free, never wanted to free this country. Welcome to the live feed. Who are joining the live feed? Welcome to this. Okay, I am teaching history, one paragraph of history. Okay, if you want to ask anything from the history, I already mentioned the topic. If you want to ask anything, you can just write your question. Okay. So yes, they already said that it is this kind of precious jewel in this their crown. So yes, one of this thing they also mentioned that India they always just thought in their mind that they never just wanted to free the India. So never going to be free to India. So now they always said this one of sentence that the the British Empire sun never sets. Okay, which the sun never sets, kind of British Empire. Which country or the which continent they started to control it, they just established, fully established and dominated that part of that continent or the country. Okay, welcome to the live feed. Okay, can you tell me, anyone can tell me how much part of this Asia continent, especially the related to India, is controlled by the Britisher? Okay, okay, you can just tell me that from the western part of India, actually, how many states just to come under the British Empire? Anyone know this answer? Okay, I will wait for 2 minutes. If you know this answer, you can. Okay, anyone can tell me that which state of India was the princely state? Okay, which states of India was the princely state? there were the many states were the princely state. So if anyone can tell me that which states of India were the princely state. Okay, so now we can start the next paragraph, especially after this innovation, after the changing the policies and introduction of uh, mm, education system or changing in the economic system. Okay, so there was the many people was not agree with that with these policies, so that they started to protest against that Britishers. So the first revolt or the first uprising against the Britisher. So yes, that was the tribal uprising. Okay, actually many part of the country, the different categories, different social these categories also started to uprisings. Okay, so now India's tribal community faced unique threat as the British expanded into forest and hill. So you already know that Britisher started to just apply the forest law. Okay, so just okay, just we will take the 2 minute. Hello, welcome to the live feed. If you want to ask any question from the history part, you can write your question. Okay, what was the reason? What was the reason to the surprising of the tribals? Okay, so anyone, if want to ask, or anyone just want to share anything from this, so yes, you can share, you can ask. Okay. Hello, welcome to the live feed. Who are joining, who are new in this live feed, welcome to this live feed. Okay, I am teaching one of paragraph of history, the colonial era. I already mentioned the topic. So if you want to ask anything, you can ask. Okay, from this topic, the colonial era. I already explained just some paragraph of this chapter. So today I am talking about the uprising, the revolt by the different categories in India. So yes, I started from this tribal uprising. Okay, if you want to ask any question, you can ask your question. Okay.
ऑनलाइन भी ओपन होगा लेकिन गूगल सबसे ज़्यादा स्टोरेज इंस्टाग्राम फेसबुक उसके अलावा फेसबुक यूज करते इंस्टाग्राम कौन करते नहीं लेकिन इंस्टाग्राम में तो खैर उतना नहीं रहता फेसबुक क्योंकि आप ज़्यादा यूज करते तो वो सबसे ज़्यादा दिया खतरनाक वो आ रहे हैं क्या बाहर
Hello, welcome to the live feed. Okay, who are joining new? Okay, you can ask the question. Okay.
उधर साइड भी हमें कई सारी वीडियो बना खाना एक बार डाल के देखने वीडियो आपके इंस्टाग्राम आगे डाल पाता है इतनी अच्छी अगर पहला चीज़ सेकेंड के बाद जवाब मिल जाता है गूगल से एग्जाम क्या कोई जरूरी नहीं है देखो इसे अच्छा करने लगते इसमें भैया 12,000 भी
Okay, so we were talking about that tribal uprising. So you already uh, just if you have seen the topic of related of this chapter, then you can understand. Okay, so yes, if you want to ask any question, please just write your question. Then I can just give you answer. Okay. Welcome to the live feed. Okay, so we are just discussing here the tribal uprising, how the Britisher just forced many policies and many things to just impose to the just the tribals, so they feel very humiliated. So because of these policies, so that's why it was the reason of the uprising. Okay, so what was the other reason? So yes, we can discuss. I can tell you that the British described tribal as a primitive. Okay, they told that it is kind of a primitive civilizations, and yes, they don't know nothing about this, how to civilize people live in the society, and they don't know. So I think they are the one, they are the superior. They can, they could just tell them, they can just teach them then how they should live. So this kind of things also started, and other things was that sometime acquiring tribal land or turning into the private property. Okay, they started to just forced to just leave that area, leave the forest, and impose the forest policies and imposing caste tax. So many time they just starting to the kind of caste tax taken from the tribal communities, and catching tribal in the debt trap. It was the third reason. Okay, if they unable to pay that the cash tax, so yes, they are ready to give them this cash as a loan, and yes, they just easily trapped by this cash, the cash debt trap. Okay, so and replacing traditional tribal council. You know that they all the tribal communities, they already have their tribal councils. So yes, they started to remove that kind of tribal councils and started to this English British legal system. Okay, they Britisher just all, totally ignored their tribal council or their system, their rituals, and starting to and even started to tell them that they should follow that their legal British system. Okay, they cannot follow, they could not follow their these tribal council or their rules regulations. And the next reason was that they also to make them civilized, to make them the tribal community civilized, they just convert tribals in the Christianity. It was also a big reason. Okay, they started to convert them Christianity, and they just the Christianity or missionaries open in that areas. Okay, just forced to their children or the other one to come and just study there in their missionary centers. So it's kind of they start to convert them as a Christianity. So yes, it was the many reason. It was the many so many reason behind that the tribal uprising, and also one of reason was that they that if the tribal communities, hundred of tribal communities. Okay, there was not a single tribal community. So many tribal communities were there. So they just started to tell them that is kind of criminal tribes. Okay, they just tell it that these are those were the criminal tribes. So yes, also that is just a harassed. It's kind of the harassment for the tribals. So they just observe these all the things, and they started to just protest, or it's kind of this kind of uprising just started against the Britishers. Okay, so I am going to tell you one or two just tribal community name, that the coal uprising, the coal tribal communities in now present day in the Chota Nagpur plateaus. Okay, so presented Jharkhand. This coal uprising communities, tribal communities, and they started to just against of these land policies. Okay, they started their revolt to against the land policies imposed by the Britisher, and that was the second. Hello. Okay, thank you for this appreciation. Hello. Welcome to the live feed. If you want to ask any question from this topic, you can ask, you can write your question. Are you a student? Are you a student? Please tell me. If you are a student, okay, you can tell me. Okay, which class students? Which class you are studying in which class? Please tell me. Okay, you are a student. Okay, which class you are studying? Thank you for joining this live feed. Okay. Okay. Very nice. You just graduated. Okay. Yes, of course, everyone is a student. Okay, we cannot escape these things to learn the new things. Okay, every time everyone is just try to learn the new things. So yes, we can. We always be a student. We cannot say that we just know everything, and we just enough learn. In so that's why we are students. Every time we are a student. I am also as a student. I learn many things every day. Okay, so if you want to ask, okay, anything from the civics, from the politics, okay, I think if you are a student, I think you are something just going, just doing a preparations for the your exam or preparations. So yes, all of course, social study or the social science kind of subject, we always need to study. Okay, so if you are preparing something for the your exam, you can ask. Okay, from the political science or the civics, economics, and geographicals. Okay, any of question you can ask. We can discuss here. If I know the answer, definitely I will tell you. Thank you for the your just support, and please subscribe the channel if you just like this channel. Okay, and please put your like also. Okay, if you want to ask any question, please ask. If you please write your question. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I was explaining about the topic. The chapter is the colonial era. You, I think, already aware about this topic. I have already subscribed your channel. You can. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so yes, I was explaining the one or two the tribal communities name that they already just face these kind of the critical situation, the very worst situation. Okay, so the coal uprising now in the current the state related from Jharkhand, and the second one was the Santhal rebellion. Yes, now in current day we can say the Jharkhand, Bihar. Yes, near this Odisha. Okay, so that we relate from these area. So yes, the Santhal rebellion is started by the two brother. Okay, started by the two brother. The name is uh, Sindhu and Kanhu. Okay, these were the tribal communities. This from related from the Santhal community, and they rebel against the money lenders. Actually, it was also the very uh, it means that frustrate the very toxic point we can say. Yes, this word we can use because they was the humiliated by these British policies. So they every time they feel frustrated to do this, and money lender also started to just to uh, humiliated them. many kind of, they just put the revenues, extra revenues, and they are doing just continue work on their field, never just giving any kind of money, any kind of things to them. So yes, they just feel frustrated and they started to uprising or the revolt against the money lenders. So yes, they already declared the one point that the uh, they are ready to fight. Okay, the Santhal declared this one statement against the British government, against the money lender, that they are ready to fight to the last drop of blood. Okay, this kind of things they declared. This kind of statement they declared by the Santhal. They the now not going to just step back, taking to step back, and they are going to fight to the last drop of blood. Okay, so yes, the British responses was brutal. After some initial losses, they burned entire village. Okay, so you know that if any one of communities, any one of the categories from the other different part of the countries start uprising, start up these revolt. So yes, the Britisher response was very humiliating, very brutal against them. Okay, so yes, they burned entire village just near the Santhal communities or these tribal communities, and killed thousands of Santhal, including eventually the rebel leaders. Okay, what we are talking, the two brother, they already they also burned with this the entire village that by burned by the Britishers. So many unknown warriors just came from these stories. We don't know just to everyone who participated, who just revolt against the Britisher. We don't know. So many unknown warriors are here. Okay, so I think we should know, we should study about them, that how they just contributed in this revolt, and how they started to just actually have just dare to speak against the Britisher. So that's the, we should study, we should know about this. Okay, now it means Britisher was very brutal for just for them, but at least they don't have any fear. They didn't uh, just fear, and they can just tell them their problem. They were the fearless person. So yes, and the daring Santhals rebellion inspired other tribal communities. So if one person start these kind of things, another other person also start to follow them. So actually now actually there should be a leadership. Okay, everyone need a leader, a good leader. If anyone come that as a leadership, so the other started to follow them. So this tribal community start this kind of uprising against the Britisher, against the moneylender. So yes, they the other tribal communities also started to follow this. Okay, so the next part is the peasant uprising. Okay, actually we are discussing the different communities, the different part of the country, how they started to protest against the Britisher. So tribal community, you already know that so many tribal communities were there, and mostly tribal communities like the mountainous part, the eastern part, yes, the eastern just part of the country, especially the Odisha, Jharkhand, Bihar. Yes, they were living there, so they started to this. Okay, the so many reasons were there actually. So many reasons were there. Okay, so we can discuss about also the peasant uprising. Okay, from this topic, tribal uprising, if you have any question, if you want to ask kind of policies, okay, what the Britisher just did with these communities, yes, any one of the queries, if you're in your mind, you can ask. You can just write your question. Okay, so yes, peasants uprising also we can discuss. Okay, that and peasant uprising and also the economic exploitation. Okay, peasants we can say that they fully dependent on their agricultural system, and if the Britisher government just not going to spend the investment for their agricultural development, not going to give any just irrigation facilities, kind of other things, if some time they faced a famine problem, the uh, drought problems, but Britisher never helped them. So these kind of things also, it is kind of, it means they were the government, na? They were in the government system. So I think it is the responsibility of the government. If any time they are facing any problem, so government should aware about this and they should help them. So yes, it was the reason. Okay, so there were so many reasons, of course, from the peasant side. And yes, even without famine, peasants suffered under the unfair British revenue collection. Okay, if also just if in mind one side they are facing this very critical problems, and yes, the second side, British are also never stopped to collecting the revenues. So yes, this was also happened, and they are losing their just land of money lenders to the money lenders or the new landlord. Okay, many time British had just applied new policies. So every time just a new landlord come in that area. So some kind they are the good one. Very less time they were the good against the peasant, and most of the money lenders was very bad behavior, because they are also just want to make the money. Okay, they also need to just pay the money to the Britisher, as well as they want to earn some money for them. So yes, the you already aware about this one of revolt, that is the Indigo revolt. Okay, so if you aware about this, the Indigo revolt, so it happened just around mid of the 19th century. Okay, around 1860, 1860 to 62. It was the 2 year. Okay, fully 2 year. Just they gave the peasant gave this revolt, Indigo revolt. Okay. So yes, Europeans planters force peasant. Okay, what was the indigo? If anyone know the answer, please write this answer. What was the indigo? And why they are why the British are forcing to just grow this kind of crop? Okay, why the British are forcing to grow this crop? Indigo. Anyone know this? Please write your answer. What was the indigo? So yes, European planters forced peasants in another part of the Bengal to abandon fruit crop and instead grow indigo plant. Okay, indigo is a kind of the color plant. Okay, is kind of the blue, the rich blue color plant, or the Neil that we called. So it was a very high demand in the European countries. So yes, British are now taking these raw material as a raw material. They are just uh, sending in their own countries, and there they were using and they were selling in a high price. Okay, from the India they were just purchasing in a very low price, and they were selling in the very high price and just earning the profit. So yes, they already in the Bengal region. Okay, in the Bengal, the eastern part, yes, they just forced to the peasants. Okay, that stop to growing the food crop. Okay, they just tell them stop to growing the food crop and just grow only the indigo plant. Okay, they just told that ki only grow the indigo plant, not to the food crop, kind of wheat and rice and gram and other things or pulses. Okay, they just force them ki they stop to grow the food crop and only grow the indigo plant. So, as the indigo dye was then in the great demand in Europe, I already told you that from planter to trader, everyone earned huge profit. I am talking about the planters and traders, not to the peasants. Even they were the in the starting the chain of this system. They were then start. I think they should just earn little profit, but they are growing only the profit just come in the pocket of planters and suppliers. Okay, planters and traders. The big traders and planter who just link with a small villages area or these peasant link with the peasants. Okay, kind of the deal or the contractor. Okay, we can say planter kind of contractor. They collect all the indigos material, the raw material, and send to the just sell to the traders, and traders now just exported to the foreign countries or European countries in the very high price, and they earn the huge profit from this. So yes, who was so poorly paid that they got trapped in a death slave? Yes, because now everyone, the British government, the planter, the suppliers, traders, okay, or just all forced them to grow this indigo plant. Okay, and now if they don't have money, so now just trap in this debt system, debt system. When they refuse to grow indigo, okay, what would be happened if they refuse to grow indigo? Of course, result was very horrible. If they are not going to grow this indigo, so result was very horrible. And they had to face in the imprisonment. Okay, the British immediately punished them. They sent imprisonment, brutally beat them to their family members, even yes, the torture. Yes, they many time torture to their family member. They force them to grow the indigo. Yes, they force them. And the destructions of their property. They just never allowed to enter in their property, their houses. It kind of just torture. They started to torture them. They forced them to grow the indigo. And where that peasant can go to just complain against the system, because they are the government, they were the government now. So then how can they complain to the others against the Britisher? So this kind of situation faced by the peasants. So there were so many reasons over that time that they just start to revolt against this British system. So I already explained the tribal uprising, then what was the condition and what were the reason behind the tribal uprising, and the second the peasant uprising. So yes, it was the main reason. Okay, it was the main reason just to peasant revolt system against the Britishers. Okay, welcome to the live feed. If you are just watching this live feed, so please, if you want to ask any question related to this, the topic is the colonial era, especially the policies just applied by the Britishers. If you want to ask anything, you can write your question. If you are a student or not, okay, but from the social science, you can ask any question. If I know the answer, definitely I will just try to reply that. So their uprising were directed mostly at the planters. Okay, so actually the first connection with them, the peasants, the first connection with the planters. Okay, so they always just thought in their mind that planters would be responsible for this, na? So thus they always just uh, uh, this uprising related with the planters. Planters, kind of contractor. Okay, we can say that they were the contractor who related by the hiring, okay, mercenaries to attack the peasants, okay, and their cause was supported by the educated Bengalis and the Bengali press. And the British authority were eventually forced to rectify some of the worst abuse. Okay, actually, no one was in their support, I think so. Because now here the others educated class, some kind, okay, there were division in this class, okay, some are supported, some are not supported, okay, kind of they now attack to the peasants, they are attacking to the peasants, some are supported that okay, if they are not doing this, so that's why they are attacking, they are just humiliating them. If they are just simply can do this, then how they can do this like this. And the British authorities were eventually, British authority always just forced them that restricted some of the abusing, worst abuse, okay. So, indigo is a natural deep blue. What is indigo? I just asked this question. What is indigo? The indigo is a natural deep blue pigment using in dye. Natural blue is a rich blue color. Okay, that was high demand in the European countries in 19th century. Okay, so yes, there are the several more notable examples of uprisings, and along with the other aspect of the British rule that we saw earlier, built up the largest uprising in the 19th century. Okay, so you know that what was the biggest uprising of this 19th century? Can you tell me what was the biggest uprising in this 19th century? Anyone know this answer? Please type your answer. Okay, I'm waiting for 2-3 minutes. Okay, then after I'm just going to finish my live feed. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to just finish my live feed. Okay, if you have any question, you can ask. Last 2 minutes left.
ओके चावल बढ़िया बना ऐसे बना वो प्रकट में जाता नहीं